Sephardic style lemony cabbage and rice, col con arroz, an unexpectedly delicious way to serve cabbage. Sally that girl in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally that girl in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make Sephardic style lemony cabbage and rice, col con arroz. So this may be a dish that you're not familiar with, but I grew up on it. My mom used to make this for us all of the time when I was growing up, and I honestly adored it, and I still do. It is so different and so tasty, and it's almost reminiscent to a stuffed cabbage, of course, without being stuffed. There's no meat in it, but it is just absolutely flavorful, has a touch of tomato, olive oil, lots of lemon, and it's just absolutely divine. And this is definitely a cabbage forward dish. This is not a rice dish with cabbage in it. This is a cabbage dish with a touch of rice in it, and it is just absolutely spectacular. So I am super excited to teach you how to make it. So let's not wait another second, and let's get started. For today's recipe, you will need 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, plus another 2 more tablespoons separate, 1 small yellow onion, 20 ounces of finely shredded cabbage, which you can buy in bags, or if not, you could use about a half a head of cabbage and chop it finely yourself. 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, a half a cup of white wine, a half a cup of tomato sauce, the juice of 1 large lemon, 1 chicken flavored bouillon cube, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, fresh ground black pepper, or I'm actually using tricolor peppercorns in this video, and 2 cups of water. You will also need a serving fork or a fork, a cutting board and a knife, a lemon squeezer if you have one, some measuring spoons, some dry measuring cups, and some wet measuring cups. And you'll also need a knife, of course, to cut your lemon. And I like to use a wooden spoon or a wooden spatula. And you'll also need a medium-sized pot with a lid. So now that we have all of our ingredients and tools together, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is grab your cutting board and knife and your small yellow onion, peel it, and dice it up. Then you're going to want to add 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil to your medium-sized pot. And then what you're going to do is you're going to turn your heat on, and we're going to set it to about low. Then we're going to bring over that onion that we diced, and we're just going to add all of it right into our pot. And then I like to use my wooden spatula and just give everything a little bit of a stir. So I start with this tool, but when making anything with rice, I eventually switch to a fork. So I've stirred it all up, and of course, I'm using this wooden tool because I don't want to scratch the bottom of my pan at this point. And then I've made the onions nice and fragrant just for 2 or 3 minutes. And then I'm adding in my cabbage. So as I said, I purchased shredded cabbage. It's convenient, but it's definitely more expensive. So I'm adding 20 ounces of shredded cabbage, but you can just buy a nice, beautiful head of cabbage, cut it in half, and either shred it in your food processor, or you can shred it by hand, or you can even just finely cut it with a knife. You just want it really nicely cut into thin strips. So now I've added in my cabbage, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my fork and create a hole in the center. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 2 more tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil right into the center. Then I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of tomato paste, a half a cup of white rice. I'm using a extra long grain white rice, and it's only a half a cup, which isn't much. This is more cabbage than rice. And then I'm using my fork to just kind of let that sink down and mix in with the tomato and the extra virgin olive oil. Then I add my chicken flavored bouillon cube and just a 1/4 teaspoon of salt because the cube already has plenty of sodium in it. And then I'm gonna bring over my grinder and I'm just gonna grind some pepper right over it. This you can do to your liking. I like plenty of pepper, but you can do as little or as much as you'd like. And then you're gonna bring over a 1/2 cup of tomato sauce, pour that right into the center. And then I cut my lemon in half and I squeezed out the juice from both halves. You want all of the juice from that lemon, and I added that in. And then I'm adding 2 cups of water. Notice I focus some of that water right on that bouillon cube. You do want to make sure that that breaks down. Use your fork if you have to help it break down, or you can break it by hand. And then I come in with my serving fork because it's just a little bit larger and it gives me more control. And I just stir everything together. I want to make sure that all those flavors are well distributed, that the rice gets distributed amongst the shredded cabbage. And I just kind of mix everything together. And then it's going to look like this. Once you mix it well, you're going to let it bubble just for 2 or 3 minutes. When you see that it's getting hot, then you put your lid on, and at that point you set a 20-minute timer to allow it to cook. And after 20 minutes, I haven't turned off my stove yet. I took my lid off and I'm coming in here and I'm just gonna mix it all together. It's already looking and smelling incredible. It is so yummy and so unexpected and so different and easy. It could not have been any easier. So I just come in with my fork and I just fluff it up a little bit. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn off my stove, but I'm not gonna move my pot. I'm just gonna leave it right there on the burner where it was. And then once again, I'm just gonna fluff it up just a little bit, just to make sure that it's nice and fluffy and that that rice is just completely cooked to perfection. And then once I stir it and fluff it up, what I like to do is I put the lid back on and I just let it sit. I'm gonna let it sit for another full 5 minutes undisturbed, just so that the rice is perfect and all the flavors marry. So after 5 minutes, then I take it off the stove, I take the lid off, and I serve it onto a serving dish. And the steam is divine. The smell, it's just so delicious. It's somewhat reminiscent of almost a stuffed cabbage because definitely you have that lemon and you have the tomato. It's just so crazy good, and that touch of rice. So it's definitely a cabbage dominant dish. This is not a rice dish. This is a cabbage dish that happens to have just a touch of rice in it, but it creates just the perfect consistency when the cabbage and rice come together. It's just a perfect marriage. The textures work so well with each other, and it's just absolutely delicious. The smell is so good. So as you see, I'm just coming in here and kind of fluffing it up a little bit and just letting out a little bit of that steam, and it is looking so gorgeous and it smells absolutely delicious. So the best part about this dish, besides of course how absolutely yummy it is that it can be served hot. It can be served room temperature, and it is amazing cold. So you can serve this as a salad, like with a bunch of other little salads, make a dinner out of it. It is so good. I love to make it the day before and put it in the fridge and serve it the next day cold. It's amazing. But it is also great as a hot side dish. It's perfect and it's so versatile. You can serve it any way you like, and you just can't go wrong. So now, my favorite part, I'm gonna serve myself some. And yes, I'm not gonna wait till tomorrow till it's cold. I love it hot too, so it's perfect. Right off the stove, room temperature, cold, however you serve it. So, so yummy. And I'll add, you can even make this using shaved Brussels sprouts instead. Yes, just take the hard stem off and then put them in your food processor, or just grate them and you can use Brussels sprouts instead, and it's also crazy good. Okay, so enough of the admiring and discussing the dish. It's now time to try it. I cannot wait. It looks and smells So yummy, just so simple, but the flavors are so good. So lemony, so delicious with that little speckle of rice, so flavorful. Amazing. So good. It's perfect. It's just got that perfect consistency, the combination of the cabbage and the rice, and of course the lemon, the tomato, so yummy, so flavorful. So good. It reminds me of home, my mom who's always made this for me as I was growing up. So delicious and just so easy and different. Lemony, tasty, and just speckled with a little touch of rice. It's perfect. So good. So how absolutely delicious does this Sephardic style lemony cabbage and rice look? It is so good, and it's such a different flavor. It's something you're not really familiar with, yet at the same time it just transports you home. It's homey and warm and delicious, and as I said, it's amazing served cold. You can serve it as a little salad with whatever else you're serving, just a little refreshing side. It is super tasty, warm room temperature, cold, however you serve it. It's so flavorful and so delicious. You are really gonna wanna try this recipe. Trust me. Nah, better yet, don't trust me. Just go ahead and try the recipe yourself, and then you'll see it is absolutely delicious. And of course, if you've enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like, comment, and share. I really appreciate when you write me a sweet comment, when you share my videos with your friends. So thank you so much for that. And of course, thank you for following me. If you're not already subscribed here on Sally, That Girl in the Kitchen, be sure to subscribe and to touch that little notification bell so that you get notified every time I put up a new recipe, which I do constantly. There are tons of recipes up on my channel, so make sure you explore. Go over to the video tab. There's tons of recipes there. Or go over to the playlist tabs where I have the recipes broken down by different categories, and it'll make it easier for you to find them. But either way, make sure you explore, stick around for a little bit, because there's a lot of yummy stuff up on my channel. And of course, if you're not already following me on social media, be sure to follow me as Sally, That Girl in the Kitchen on Facebook, Instagram, and on Pinterest. And you can find me as Sally, That Girl FL on Twitter, Snapchat, and on TikTok. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Sally, That Girl in the Kitchen.